In the car?
Yeah. I was telling them it's time for us to start making money off of it. It's time for us to start making some money. That's what they printed for. Right. They printed for a reason, though. Not to be sitting around. Yes, sir.
All right, how y'all doing? I know y'all can hear me. I don't need that mic. How y'all doing tonight?
Hey. All right.
All right, my name is Tim Miller. I'm the host of the podcast, In Tune with T. Mill, here with Rick Bradshaw of Network Sweatshirt. Here on behalf of the Maitland Conservatory to bring you guys Sound Advice 101. Things that you need to know about the music business. If you have any questions, write them down on the index cards, and then we will have a portion to where we ask those questions. Again, this is an open conversation. This is a real laid back, it's a little more laid back than the TEDx. We want everybody to be comfortable. We're just having a conversation with these guys, all professionals, all experienced, making the mistakes so we don't have to. We can learn from them and learn a little more detail and context. So I want you guys, first of all, let's get a sound check. Let's test the temperature in the room. When I tell y'all to make some noise, I really want y'all to make some noise to where they can hear they can hear us in Muscle Shoals or way down in Georgia. All right, so I want y'all to blow the roof off this joint. Let's do a test real quick. Everybody make some noise. Let's start out a little weak. Y'all gotta relax. Do it one more time. 1, 2, 3. That's how I want y'all to sound when we bring out these guys. We have 3 guests today. So ladies and gentlemen, please make some noise for Jeremy J. Jones. Make some noise for Anthem. And make some noise for Frederick Bussey, you guys.
No, go ahead, bro. What up?
What's up? How y'all doing tonight?
Praise the Lord.
Check.
Awesome. So how's you guys' afternoon been besides being on the road?
That was it. That's the whole thing.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
Blessed.
All right.
Oh, this home. This is home, by the way.
All right.
All of us. Well, me and
Too close.
Lee Birmingham.
Take him out.
Yeah.
Knock me out. I can't say live. Bust you in your mouth. Don't do it. Is anybody on Facebook Live? You on Facebook
And
Live?
you guys be sure to take pictures.
Yeah.
Hashtag Sound Advice 101. Maitland Conservatory. Take your pictures, go live, share. All right. So welcome you guys. Thank you guys once again for coming up here on your afternoon, spending your evening with us, to share your experiences, to just help us get a little more context in the music industry, and to also learn from you guys' advice and experiences in the music industry. First, I want to start with Jeremy and talk a little bit about what you do at Slumerican and what you do with Yelawolf and working with the artists that you're working with.
Actually, the story started here in Huntsville with Wolf. I started doing music around here like 95, 96. Early days, like Po' Boy, early days. fast forward, I was working with 6D, but we had a situation. We were doing a bunch of records off of Moore's Mill at a studio out there. And actually, Jackie Chain, let me back up. I went to high school with Jackie Chain. Jackie Chain was signed to Universal. Jackie Chain was signed to Universal. He was on tour. He met Wolf and Gaston, brought him up here. We worked for about 6 months. Next thing I was in New York, you know, had meetings, figuring some things out. He ended up moving to Atlanta a few months later. Like, yo, Jay, you need to come up to Atlanta, get it popping. 3 months later, we had to deal with Columbia. And I've been working with him ever since. So it's been like 14 years. But we started right here. And that's a cliff note. There's a lot of layers to that story. I was a lot. But as far as with Wolf, we ended up doing a deal with Interscope in 2011 after we put out Trump music. And then we started Slumerican around 2013. And that's our label that we have together out of Nashville. So we have a few artists signed to that. And I manage the label as well as manage him. And that's pretty much the story around that, as far as Wolf specifically.
And that's also a lifestyle, a brand. You know, you guys have got just so much around that brand. And
he's special. Like, when I first met him, that was one reason why I put a lot of energy into him, is because it was bigger than just music. That was like a part of who he was as an artist, but he always thought forward. He wanted TV shows, he wanted a clothing line, he wanted a whiskey, unfortunately. But yeah, he drinks a lot of whiskey. But I saw branding opportunities, I saw things outside of just music. Because before that, a lot of artists I was working with, we would get deals, we'd have a good run for about 6 months, and then we're trying to figure it out again. You know, it's like, okay, who's the artist I can invest time into to where we can go beyond music? To where, okay, if he doesn't have a hot record on radio, how do we keep the brand going? And he had a lot of ideas, so all I had to do was manage that and just create opportunities out of that.
Now, before I toss it over to Anthem, because we were talking about finding your niche, how did you guys find your niche in staying consistent for that long till now?
Wolf filled a space that nobody was in. Like when we did the first deal with Columbia, through Sony Urban, through one of my mentors, Kawan Prather, it was like he was a skateboarding rapper. That's what he was. Yeah. And, you know, at the time it was Asher Roth, like Scooter had Asher, he was a college rapper. Wolf was the skateboard rapper. He could actually skate. Like, so he brought skate culture to hip hop. And then from
Fiasco.
Yeah, we fronted Lupe Fiasco by the Kick Push record. But so that was kind of his first thing. Then he evolved again, where he was the he was the guy kind of in the trap. That was the Trump music phase where we did records with we kind of stayed in that space, really Atlanta kind of style music. And then he just evolved into really what I knew he was going to be from day one, which was kind of a blend of Eminem and Kid Rock, where it's this kind of outlaw country kind of thing, where he's kind of smashing southern rock, hip hop, and country together. So each time he's evolving and staying ahead of the game. That's why he's able to last so long, and he just controls the space. Like, he owns that genre. If you're gonna do a record in that space, you pretty much have to come to us because of Wolf. You gotta have Struggle Jennings, who's Waylon Jennings' grandson. You gotta go to Jelly Roll. You gotta go to you guys to get that sound. Otherwise, it's just fake. So my phone's always ringing off the hook from like Florida Georgia Line and Sam Hunt and all these guys, because they want that vibe, they want that energy, you know, and that's what gives you longevity. You got to keep evolving. That's why Jay-Z's still here. That's why Kendrick and these guys are still here. They're still evolving. You know, they're always staying ahead of the curve and just setting the trends instead of following.
Awesome. Now, Anthem, how did you find your niche, and why is it important for people in this business, no matter if they're an engineer in front of the camera, behind the camera? How did you find your niche, and why is it important to find your niche?
I really just found my niche, to be honest with you. I do a lot of sound design, and like here late, that's really been my niche, you know, doing that, because I, like J-Dot know and Fred knows, I always had dope beats, and my drums and stuff were dope, you know. And one thing I did well was help other producers, you know, make their sound better. Like, they send me a track or something like that, I add stuff to it to make it sound better. And over time, I was like, okay, if I make these dudes sound better, then, you know, what if I just sit down and just focus on doing sound design? Like, you know, I make more money from that than actual beats. So,
And break that down, sound
Yeah.
design, for people that don't know what that is.
Sound design is pretty much like making melodies, making drums from scratch, for other producers to use like tools, like VSTs and stuff like that, for other producers to use to make their sound better. But that's been my niche here late. Like, I always had dope beats and, stuff like that. It's just timing and opportunity and just staying patient and working to get, placements and stuff like that. But here late, that's been like the niche for me, like, is helping other producers be dope, quote unquote.
Awesome. Now,
Yeah.
before I pass it to Rick, is there a sound pack that you've made so far, or one of the packs that you offer where you're like, this one's really special? Like, I did some weird stuff with it, and it just sounds.
I just put one out yesterday. My IG is going crazy. Like other big producers like Frank Dukes and Cardiac, Flatline, like in my DMs, like, hey man, we need to work and stuff like that. So
Frank call?
Yeah.
Frank, he followed me and DM me, bro. You know who Frank
Yeah,
is.
unfortunately, yeah.
Yeah, you can't get
Nah,
samples clear game. But yeah, pretty much I make samples now.
They're expensive.
Yeah,
Nice.
I make samples. So yeah.
Is there a specific software that you use?
I use Reason, but I use a lot of VSTs, and I had like some synths. Like I got a Prophet 6, I got a Mellotron, I got a Sub 37. Yeah, it's pretty much the same stuff everybody else use. Yeah.
Gotcha. And Jada, I wanted to ask you a question. You were speaking about branding. Can you speak a little bit about the Slumerican store it's in Nashville, right?
Right, it's in Marathon Works. It was Wolf's dream from day one to have like this flagship store where he could showcase like the entire brand. So it's a barbershop, a tattoo shop, and then we have a vintage store upstairs.
Wow.
And we have a lot of our branded products, like his shirt back there. We have t-shirts, hoodies. We have our leather goods. Everything. Everything that, basically the idea was when you walk in that store, you can walk out looking like Yelawolf. From the haircut to the tattoos to the vintage rings, the leather jackets, the whole nine. Like it took me 18 months to build that spot out.
Wow.
Mike Wolf from American Pickers, he owns the building. He let us get it. When I walked in there, it didn't have a roof, it didn't have a floor, it didn't have anything. Like it literally was a full renovation. Everything in there is custom designed by Kyle Hicks, who does our leather goods. It's an amazing spot. If you're ever in Nashville, you should follow through. Like it took a lot of time and effort to make that.
Is it something
that happen.
that's constantly evolving as far as like the store? I know you said you got tattoos going on there and quite a bit of things. Is it kind of constantly evolving, would you say? Or?
It is. Like we're about to go through another change probably at the top of the year where we're going to actually expand our retail. Probably take out a few barber's chairs, a few tattoo chairs, just because our retail is booming so much. Like we need more space. He wants to get more into cut and sew, start doing more customized items. We're starting to carry, we have a collaboration with Thoroughgood Boots, which is like, they're from like one of the oldest boot companies ever. They actually predate Red Wing. So we have a collabo boot with them, we have our own boot, and then we have a new line coming out, it's exclusive, with Luke Casey, which is like top of the line cowboy boots. Like he's designing like cowboy boots with them. And they're based out of Dallas, and we're going to carry their stuff. They actually have a flagship store in the Gulch. We're doing a collab with them, and then we have a few more collaborations coming out with King Baby. I don't know if y'all know about that. They're like a ring company. We have some low fashion designs coming out on that. That's what he calls it, low fashion. So it's taking high fashion
So
style.
the answer is yes.
I'm promoting now. So
Now,
yes,
speaking
come to
about
the store.
branding, Frederick, tell us about ICONSTATUS and what that is and why it's important for artists to partner with branding and marketing companies and kind of getting that different perspective where someone can see them from an objective point of view.
Well, ICONSTATUS is a branding and marketing, my digital marketing agency. But the reason, this mic won't let me be great.
I know, I'm gonna knock mine over.
So, I think that one of the things that I learned from Jay actually was the value of a team, and that's really what it is. When it comes down to whether you go with a marketing agency, branding agency, whatever the case may be, you need people on your team that allow you, if you're the artist, to be the artist, right? You need people to allow you to execute your vision so that you can focus on, keeping the main thing the main thing. One of the hardest things to do as an artist is to manage all these other pieces. And really, that's why a lot of artists, their art falls down and they're not able to progress, because they can't see outside of themselves what they need to do. And those things require a different part of your brain, So one of the things that when I met Jay and seeing how, he was able to position everybody around us to be able to put that together, it allowed everybody to do what they did best at that particular time. Even if you had delusions or ideas about going to do something else later on, you could evolve to that. But first you need to be able to focus on your strength and then have the time to evolve into that other thing. So taking Yelawolf as an example, right? Yelawolf originally was basically just a rapper. He knew he wanted to be more. Jay saw he could be more, but he was able to create the team around him that allowed him to be able to grow into what he wanted to be. So it's important as an artist, or even if you're a manager or producer or whatever the case may be, to understand the different pieces that go into it. And that's one of the things that really was unique about Jay that I found, was him understanding that he didn't have to do it by himself. He couldn't do it by himself, but he knew how to create the blueprint, to be the architect of the situation. And that's what, you got to have that. If you look at any great artist, anywhere that they've started, they've always had somebody beside them that was able to handle those other pieces, to be able to put that stuff in place. And any great artist who never made it had somebody who either tore them down or had a lack of that structure around them. So,
wow. Yeah, and I was just going to ask, just what are some of the indicators? I know both you guys kind of talked about identifying Yelawolf early and kind of his potential and knowing where he could go and how big he could get. What are some of maybe like the indicators, like when you're dealing with an artist, say it's the first time, it's very early, and you're meeting somebody or you're vibing with somebody, what are some of those indicators that let you know, hey, this is somebody I can partner with, this is somebody that has great potential to be able to do bigger things in the future?
This question is that I'm on a lot of panels I get asked. It's like, from my standpoint, it's like there's good, there's great, and there's special. You know what I'm saying? All three have a career, but it's like specifically what I look for is I'm more into the special. It's a lot harder to push. It's a lot harder to get it off. To actually break it, but it's more long term. It's that artist that, okay, I do music, but I want to act. I also want to get into songwriting. I also want to produce. I also want to have these other things, So I'm looking for someone who is thinking is really interested in playing the long game, and not really worried about, hey, this is on the radio. Let me just get in here and just make these records just to get hot right now. It's like, hot is cool.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? But what keeps the lights on are the guys that can put out 4 or 5 albums. So I'm looking for those indicators. But everybody's looking for different things.
Right.
We were talking about this on the way up. Like, everybody's like, man, A&Rs ain't paying attention to me. Like, what? Like, stop looking for external validation from them. Right. Everybody has a niche. Everybody's like, if you sing R&B or do soul, don't go to the guy who manages or A&R's Meek Mill. Like, his lane ain't really, he's in a different space, you know what I'm saying? Dallas is my guy, but, he's not an R&B guy. You know what I mean? Like, he's in the club, So everybody's indicators are different. Like, for me, I like the special. I'm not ambulance chasing with it.
What would you say about that?
Oh, absolutely. And again, it was kind of Jay that opened my eyes to that, because a lot of times when you're in a space like this, you kind of work with the people that want to do music or work with whoever, and so you get used to just seeing different artists. And I think as artists, because that's at heart, that's what I am. I started out, singing in groups from the time I was 14, 15 years old, and just have that love. And so as an artist, you have this love-hate relationship with other artists. So there's like, you admire their talent, but you're also kind of jealous, and you're competitive. So you're like, I'm really doper than her. I don't know why they get a chance to get, So there's the whole thing, right? it skews your perspective. But man, it's funny because I still get like my heart skips when I start thinking about certain artists that have that thing, and it's like, you know, it's an incredible feeling. If you've ever met your favorite artist, or you've ever met an artist that's really really dope, like I used to wonder why, you know, they make a joke about grown men fainting when they met Michael Jackson, right? But Michael Jackson was special. Michael Jackson, he just gave you that feeling. It was something about what he did. Like, when you think about it, a moonwalk is such a simple move. But when he did it, it changed the world. Like, everybody wanted to do it. And that's really what, as an artist, if you start understanding your ability to impact the world, that's really what it comes down to. You have a special gift that you can't take for granted. And there's different levels to it. And you have to be able to accept your level for what it is. And not hate on other people who have it. You know, just understand you have a special place. But those artists who are special, there was a girl that I met at an event in Atlanta. This is like 7 years ago now. I met her, I was walking up the stairs with another artist I was working with. She was just there as one of the models wearing a t-shirt. It's in the dark. I walk past her and I just feel this energy. And I stop and I look at her and say, "You do something. What do you do?" She's like, "I sing." I said, "You don't sing. Sing something for me right now." She sang Rihanna, "Take a Bow." That was her go-to song. Sounded just like Rihanna, but better. And I didn't even learn how great of a singer she was until later on. But she had that thing. Jay will tell you, I mean, this girl was a star. Yeah.
She was a star for real. Yeah.
She was a star. I mean, but she, and we'll talk about this later on probably too, but she just could never see for herself. She knew she was a star, but she could never accept how big the dream was. You know, when I'm talking about, I'm lightweight emotional. Like me and Jay have a crying session about it, like every 6 months or so. We go back. I mean, the girl.
Learn a lesson, man. You can't want it more than the artist. You can't want it. I'm not gonna drag you through this. It's like you have a lot of people like, "I want this, I want this, I want this." And it's like, okay, cool. I'm getting here some money. We're gonna work. Anthem's doing the tracks. Fred's writing. We're spending time. Next thing you know, I'm out in LA. I play one song for Mike. You know, a couple A&Rs. They're like, "Yo, fly in. We want to hit tomorrow." I hit her up. "Yo, you come tomorrow?" She's, you know, be like, "Yeah, I'm ready." We get in there, had a meeting. Like, let's go. Dude was like, "Let's do it. Let's do the deal. Let's put this record out. Let's go." She gets back home, changes her mind.
No.
Yeah, put a whole year in, like, how much time? I bring that up, Theory, when if you're watching this, we love you. You know, I basically put her through school, so she's doing hair now, but she's great at everything. You know what I mean? Like, she does hair, she makes wigs, she's great at that. She could sing, she could be great at that. Like, she's just one of those people. Like Jay-Z and these people, like, when you're around them, they can be great at anything. It doesn't matter. It's like, whatever they want to take on and put their focus and energy into, they could be great at it. But going back to Theory, it's like she just didn't want to be great at being an artist. Like, what comes with that? And you kind of feel conned in a way, but at the same time, it's like you go into it with the right intent. It's like, look, I believe in her. If she don't want to do it, I don't hate her for it or whatever. I'm disappointed, but you have it. You're going to be fine. You're going to make it. You know, Justin was like that too. You know?
Frederick, that's a great segue into a conversation we were having earlier about artists being honest with themselves and really asking themselves the hard questions. Are they built for this, or if it's really what they want, of what they're going to? Talk about that for a moment, about having that conversation.
How long we got? Man, like, for real, bro. Like, cause, you know, here's the thing, like, A&Rs, managers, we get a lot of heat, and we just take it. You know, we just sit there like, all you hear, like, you watch the VH1 show, you think the music industry this, oh, they did this to me. No, you did some of this too. Like, you around here playing games. You know, you went ghost for 6 months when we was ready to work. You know, when you got that check, you didn't want to went and bought all this stuff when you weren't supposed to get it. Like, you did that. You out here on drugs. You out here, you know, these are your problems that we're dealing with. We're investing. You know, I went ahead and told this dude on the 27th floor to put up $1 million.
Real talk.
I did my part.
Yeah.
You know, like, what are you doing? And some people just lazy, bro. Like, you know those people, like, they have the talent, they have everything, it's like they want to be dragged. You got to drag them out the bed. I'm not doing that. I'm not doing that. Like, either you want this or you don't.
You really can't. You really can't understand. You got to really have a commitment in your head to the level that you're going to do it at, right?
Yeah.
Like whatever it takes. And there's people that are willing to sleep in their car because they can't do nothing else. You know, and really that's what it comes down to. You have to. There has to be a point where you have no plan B because that's just who you are. Now, I know people. I have friends right now whose lives are pretty much failures because they're supposed to do music. And they go off and do other things, and everything else falls apart. I mean, they can make money. They have charisma, so they can get a job. They can do different things. They can manage, right? But in reality, who they're supposed to be, what they're supposed to be doing with their career and their lives, they're not doing it because they didn't have the courage to just discipline themselves enough and stay focused on that one thing. And it's crazy because, like we were talking about earlier, being honest with yourself, right? Some people want it for the wrong reasons. So you see other people on Instagram, you're like, I'm doper than him. I can do that, you know, or I can, you know, you want to get your family out of poverty, or you want to stun on everybody who told you you weren't going to be nothing in high school.
That's the number one reason.
That's the number one reason. You know, low self-esteem. You need this to feel like you are somebody. And in reality, you can't do this to be somebody. You have to do this because it's who you are. If you do it from that place, the universe is going to respond to you. Like, God's going to open up everything, you know, that you're supposed to have, as long as you're just honest with your gift and you hone your craft, you refine it, and you put it out to the world, because that's what it's for, right? It's not for you, right? A lot of people think, a lot of artists, even managers and producers, they think their gift is for them, you know. So I'm supposed to get everything that I want, but you're going to have everything that you could ever want and ever need if you give something to the world that's so valuable that they can't help but, yo, you know, you're like take my money, man. You know, whatever you got a concert, I'm paying whatever, because that energy is something that is so valuable. People need that. You know, who in here has a favorite song by somebody? A song that whenever you hear it, you're like, oh, that's my jam. I need to hear that right now. Your go-to song when you're down. Artists do that. Like, that's the one thing about the music industry that I think people have lost an understanding for it, the value of music, because there's so much music that can be put out, right? It's so easy to do it. And you forget music can change your life without you even knowing it. Like, that's the only thing that can enter your mind and your brain and affect your emotions without you having any control over it. When that beat drops, you get that mean face. You can't do anything about that. So, like, when Anthem sends me a beat, you know what I'm saying, and he knows, yo, I got one. You send it to Jay like, I got one. And we turn it on, yeah. It's a nod factor. When an artist starts, if you're a singer and you can just sing one or two notes and you just open up your mouth and people respond, that's something special. But people don't value that. They don't work on that. They're not honest with themselves. They don't have it. We all see American Idol, right? And you see the auditions and people who, you know, fans and family members will pat them on the back and tell them. And sometimes there are people that are really, really good. I used to date a girl who could blow, Janelle. She could blow. You know, she went to American Idol and she got rejected. Now, for whatever reason, it happened. She could really, really sing. But it wasn't special enough for what they were looking for, whatever. And had she had the courage to really pursue that, if that's something she really wanted to do, she could have done it. Because she had something special. Her voice was something special. But at least she was honest enough with herself to know, this is not what I'm not willing to put the work in. I'm not built like that to take that sort of rejection. So that almost broke her. Just hearing that, because she wanted it bad, but she couldn't handle that. And you've got to be able to deal with that rejection. Because when you put it out there as an artist, it's going to happen. The world's going to tell you sometimes, yo, that's whack. Can you handle that? I mean, you have great artists who put out music. I mean, look at Kanye West, right? He believes in himself to the max, and yet he put out an album. Sometimes you're like, yo, what are you doing? So you look at, I mean, and a lot of times the most brilliant artists are the ones that are most fragile mentally. You know, so he needs people around him to help build him up. But if you mismanage that, you know, if he's not taking care of himself, You know, you see what happens. It goes off the rails fast. And we lose a lot of artists, a lot of brilliant people because they're not built or defended by the people around them. That's one thing that Jay has been really, really good about. That's one reason I really love this dude because he's honest, and he's always been about what's best for the team, what's best for the artist, what's best for the person, you know. And I think that's why we have all been able to build good relationships because we generally care about each other. So if you don't have people in your team that care about you, and if you don't care about doing this for the right reasons, you really need to quit.
Hey, on a lighter note, Anthem, tell me a little bit.
How we went to church.
Like I said, how much time do we have?
But I think a lot of those questions have very complicated answers like that. So
Yeah, man.
I definitely appreciate each of the answers that you guys are giving because it's something that we can all benefit from for sure.
This line's one-on-one. We had to keep this going.
Yes.
Like drill down.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Anthem, tell me a little bit about the title track that you did, "Hate You Give," for "Hate You Give."
Okay, I think Jada, I could tell you more about that. I just sent the beat, and he was like, "This is it." You know, cha-ching. You know.
Has anybody seen the film?
No.
Yeah. All right. Check it out.
Y'all ain't seen it? It's amazing.
Y'all ain't
Dope.
Y'all ain't woke in.
Has anybody read the book?
I saw a preview.
The movie is very. You seen Soul Food?
Yeah.
It's like Soul Food meets. Yeah, Black Lives Matter.
I
Slash
wouldn't even say that. Like
a
it's
song for boys in
it's
the
pretty
hood.
balanced. It's like
Yeah.
it tells both sides. It's not so like militant. You know, it's not like that. Like all audiences can enjoy it.
Word,
It's
word.
just-
No.
Well, it's a pretty simple story. Another big part of what I've worked on the last few years is sync. Sync is a big part of what I do for my clients. I also consult, so even if I don't manage them or they're not signed to me, I still work records, you know, with movie houses, stuff like that. The Hate You Give came about because George Tillman, who's the director, reached out to Def Jam like, yo, we want to do a soundtrack for this, you know, for this movie. You know, the last movie he did, it had a great soundtrack with Soul Food. And, you know, and L.A. Reid did that with The Face. So he reached out to Def Jam because he thought, you know, hey, y'all have Public Enemy, y'all got all these, you know, types of artists. We want to try to find some music with a message. Paul hit me, Paul Rosenberg, and he like, hey, you need to go watch this movie. So my artist, Bobby Sessions, who I have signed to Def Jam, we were in New York and went and watched the movie in June. Got a pre-screening. They gave us a cue sheet. Cue sheet basically is like, hey, we need music for this part of the movie, this part. Bobby's just like, I want the entitled record. You know, I want the big bag. So we went in the studio. He came up with some ideas. Anthony had already sent the beat. We wrote to it. They gave us 48 hours. We sent it back. George loved it. And we got the sync. Yeah.
Shout out.
And it actually plays at the end of the movie. I don't know how many people know about syncs, but, you know, the title track is nice. It's a great look.
Yes, it is.
The other part of it is, I don't know how much you know about Bobby Sessions, but that's a huge part of his message as an artist. His cousin was killed in 2012 by a police officer. So his music really is like, that situation played a big part in how he writes his records. So this movie was like, it was perfect for him. And they loved the song so much, they took him out on tour, you know, to help promote the movie. We were out there with Amanda and Regina Hall and all of them. Like, we went city to city, you know, and promoted it. But anyway, as far as the song, Anthem killed the beat.
Yeah, like, I made the beat. I'm straight with
I'll let you talk about the beat.
You know,
No sound.
no samples. No, I won't do that. I won't sample no more. But I had like a part-time job. My wife made me get a part-time job because, be honest with y'all, selling beats and stuff is cool, but you don't get placements all the time. Jada, no. It's really just linking with an artist and working like with them directly that you'll get placements and stuff like that. So I made the beat just randomly, to be honest with you. I was like, man, this sounds like something to be on like a Jeep Wrangler commercial or something. Just something.
How long did it take you to make it?
I mean, it took me like 10 minutes to make the beat. Yeah.
Yo, I want to talk about that for a second though, because I know we got some producers in here and stuff or whatever, and you know, we all been working together for a long time. Anthem has been, you know, steady on his craft, man. That was one of the skills he got. He got really good at making beats very quickly, which for this time in the music industry is really important, because if you're gonna send out a lot of music, people may like 1 out of 30 beats. You can't spend a week working on a beat that people might hate, you know. That's 30 weeks of your life, you know, people just reject it. And, you know, so he stayed at it. And I remember many conversations that we had, you know, Angela was like, dog, I don't know, dog. I don't know, I'm like, you know. And I'm like, just stay at it, man. Just stay at your craft. Just keep pounding them out, you know, just make it like a job. You punch in, you know, you got a part-time job, you get off work, you punch in for 2-3 hours. And I mean, for him, because he got to the point where he was so prolific, he can do 10 beats in a night and go to bed, you know, 5 beats a day. What Kanye say, 5 beats a day for summer straight, you know what I'm saying? That, I mean, it's that type of dedication. When you get it like that in a machine, what Will Smith said, when you stay ready, you don't have to get ready. And he was ready. So it was that ability to stay in that zone. So he had to be, when the opportunity came, he was able to shine. And that's the look.
Speaking of that, how many producers are in there? A lot of producers. Okay.
Send Jade out some beats.
Yeah.
Alright.
But here's the thing, man, like, there's beat makers and there's producers.
Right.
And like, you know, there's a lot of people, especially down, there's just a lot of beat makers. You know what I mean? They're just making beats and reason. I come from the old school, back from ADATs.
Right.
Production, like you had to do sound design, which is what he's doing, and like actually crafting a sound around artists. That's a producer. You see what I'm saying? It's like your favorite producers, like from Dr. Dre to Pharrell and all these guys, they made their way in the music industry by developing artists, like developing a sound around them. And that's where, like with Anthem, as soon as I heard him, like, yo, he's got dope beats, but he's going to continue to evolve into a producer and actually do sound design and actually craft things specifically for people, not just making beats and I like this one and make a track to it.
Yeah.
You know, the longevity in the game is being a producer, being able to, you know, like a label just send an artist to you and just craft a whole record around them. You know, like I worked with a producer named Malay. He knows Malay.
So
Malay
cool.
was engineer with us at Ghetto Vision, you know, and he ended up, you know, he was just an engineer. He ended up developing into one of the biggest producers in the world. But the reason why he's that great is because he can play every instrument. He learned how to play keys. He did sound design. He crafted sound around artists. Like he produced Frank Ocean, like Channel Orange. Like he did the whole record. Like when we were working, we did John Legend's like That Again album. Did the whole record. The whole record.
He called
Greenlight. Like he crafted sound. He did Sam Smith. All these guys. Like follow him. Like read about his story. Like learn more about him because he's on that trajectory as well. Like he started as a beat maker and then evolved into a full on producer.
I think working with the countless artists that I've worked with you know, with Jay and Fred has helped me. Working with Justin, Theory, just a bunch of people, you know, as far as like creating records, like, you know.
Not demos, records.
Not demos.
I guess the other point I wanted to make too is like instead of just sending beats, find an artist that you like. I know everybody says that, but for real, find an artist you like and just start crafting a sound. You really don't know what you have until you cut 50 records.
Yeah.
So cut 50 songs and then see where you end up. And then it's like, okay, yo, we're creating a sound. So even when you send those songs and those beats off to A&Rs and stuff, they're like, yo, the artist is cool, but we like your sound. Come up here, we have an artist we already like. They're already going. Can you give that sound to them? A lot of people against that, like, oh, they stealing my... Well, here's the thing. That artist you're working with, now they're a songwriter. You know what I mean? Like, yo, those melodies, we like that. We like that piece. Like, can we get the whole session? That's how you evolve. Some artists don't want to be there. Oh, they're taking my sound and my records. It's like, they're not taking anything. They're still you. Get that publishing. Get that check. That might be your way in. Stop limiting yourself. I want to be this, I want to be that. Just do music. You don't know what it's going to be. I wanted to rap. I found better rappers. Like, okay, I'm going to start rapping. You know what I'm saying? This is a true story. I wanted to produce. I was producing, killing it. I found links and found him. Oh, they're better than me. Okay, you know what I'm good at? I'm good at business. You know what I mean? I'm good at connecting dots. Bro, don't limit yourself to just that. I hate when people do that. It's like, man, they're trying to steal my artist. It's art. Give it away. I got a check for you right here. You know what I'm saying? Once you get those placements, then okay, hey, now we'll look at you as a producer, or now we'll look at you as an artist. Stop limiting yourself. It's great.
So pretty much the record, the beats was polished enough that Bobby didn't have to do nothing but pretty much right to it.
Right. But Anthem, yeah. I'm sorry.
That's a good point. I know you got another question, but that's a good point though. You also want to be able to craft it. When you get to that point, you can make a record that the artist can see themselves as a star of this movie, right?
Yeah.
You know, just like in a movie, you send a script to an actor. The actor says, "Oh yeah, I can be that person. I can be that character." You know, that's what's real important. There's got to be room for them. Sometimes you find producers that they've done beats that are so derivative. It's just, well, that's Gucci Mane, or that's, you know, Rich Homie Quan, or that's, you know, so and so. You know, I would just be them on that beat. But if you give them space for them to be themselves, for them to find themselves and see, okay, you know. Another thing that we started doing too was actually creating the songs. So if you're a producer, get with songwriters, because you got to understand how your beats fit in a song structure. Does it give room for the writer to write? Does it give room for the artist to be an artist? You know, if your beat is a star, you know, that's great, but ain't nobody walking around singing beats. Nobody got a playlist of beats on Spotify.
Some of these beat battles, I went to, I was just like, man, there's no room to make a record on that. Yeah. Some of these guys are really great at those beat battles, like, you can't get a track from them. They didn't fill the whole track up. There's just nothing there, you know?
Great drums, guy.
And going back to Anthem, I'm gonna tell a short story about you know, I gotta tell a side story. So here's the thing. With Anthem, he's always been ahead of the curve sonically, just with the tracks and the drums and everything. Every time I send this stuff off, like my homies at the other A&Rs trying to sell the beats, they're like, yo, we love the track, but man, can he just send the drums? Like, can he just do drum programming? I'm just like, man, it's a sound. Like, send the artist to us and let us, you know, let Anthem create a sound around them. And some people are pretty hesitant about that, just for business reasons. You know, they got their little camp and they want to keep all the money and whatever, you know. But we're not just going to send you this man's sound. I want to find an artist that can, like, take his sound and let's build something with it. So I was managing Siza at the time. Siza was with Kanye. He writes all Kanye stuff. He's another guy who was rapping and I'm just writing for Ye. But, yeah. But they crafted a sound together. You know what I mean? Like, Anthem created a sound around Siza to help him become who he is today in terms of just figuring out, you know, the message that he wanted to put out here, and he gave him the soundtrack to that. And for whatever reason, you know, I think we were too far ahead of the curve at the time. But what I think he learned from that, we were able to put on Bobby. So what you're going to hear from Bobby Sessions is that growth from what he learned from working with Siza. He's taking that same approach now with new sound design, now with people catching up to how he sounds, and now it makes sense with the right artist. Yeah. Sometimes it just doesn't, you know, some stuff you put together, it may not work out, you may be too far in the curve, but you give it the right artist and it's right on time. That's how you get the Hate You Give. That's how you get Revolution Chapter 2, where he's got 2 or 3 tracks on there, you know. Now it's becoming more placements because he's got the right artist, the timing is right, and he didn't have to give up his sound, so it sounds new, so people are more attracted to it now, and now they're going to start coming to him to get a bunch of other stuff. He's like, hey, we like Bobby, we like what you did here. Now we want to send artists to him because of what he's done with Bobby. You know what I'm saying? That's the process.
And that's another great point too, because timing is everything, right? You just you never know when your time is going to come. So you just got to stay ready, continue to grow and evolve. Because I look at Lady Gaga as a great example. Lady Gaga was a folk singer at first, and nobody knew what to do with it. And then somebody figured out, we're going to take her and make her into a pop star. And they flipped it, and she became the biggest thing in the world, right? And now she's back to being a folk singer, basically. You know, she's doing jazz standards, and she's got the new movie with Bradley Cooper. So she was able to kind of evolve and come full circle to who she was. It just wasn't her time to be that at the moment. But if you're a dope artist, you just could be dope at whatever, right? So you find a way to be creative and still be yourself, because the sound, a lot of people get married to a sound or a trend, like, you know, this is my shot. And really, it's not about one thing. You know, Jay was talking about, you know, people worrying about people taking your sound or taking your artist or what. Don't worry about that. Because if you're dope, what in yourself, in and of yourself, you're gonna find your space. People they're gonna have to come to you for your dopeness, because nobody else can be you, right? But if you're worried about being everybody else and chasing trends or chasing timing or whatever the case may be, you may miss your own spot.
A lot of that going on right now.
Right.
I got a question for all three of you guys as it relates to the music business. What's the biggest risk that you've taken? And was it a loss or was it a win?
A lot of losses. A lot of wins too. You know, it's I don't know. Let's just start with that. I'll ramble on for now. Man,
Give me your biggest. Give me like one of the most significant risks that you've taken
Risks.
as it relates to.
I would say leaving Huntsville.
Okay.
Leaving Huntsville. It's not like it is now. It's developed a lot. I'm very happy about where it is. But you know, when I started in '96, it went here like that. You know, we had a few wins here and there, but nothing that was sustainable as far as the market. Wasn't a lot of outlets. But I was saying 2006, you know, like leaving August 14th, 2006. I remember that, you know. Wolf was in Atlanta, Justin was signed to the Twins at Jagged Edge. I had a couple producers up there, and it was just like everybody was there, and they're like, Jay, you gotta be here. You gotta manage this. Like, I'm driving back and forth. It's just not working. I had a nice little corporate job, you know. It was just rough, you know, but I prayed about it, like real talk. And I woke up middle of the night, I was just like, man, I'm out. Put my 2-week notice in. Got a little wireless job at Perimeter Mall, you know, and just left. I was sleeping on the air mattress in my homie's crib up there. 3 months later, that was August 14th, by October, he had a record deal with Columbia. And then that took a few months to like go through. And then, you know, just struggling with that, trying to live in 2 places on a little bit of income, waiting. A lot of waiting in the music business, you know, trying to get. Oh yeah, Def Jam. No, all of them. You didn't do one. All of them. One is the worst. No, never mind. No, they're good. I'm creating that. But just waiting around, and literally, like the day that 6-figure check hit, my house was foreclosure, bro. Like it was like a lot of people don't know that. Like it was like that. Like that was a risk, big risk. But you know, kept the faith. Everything worked out. Doesn't always go that way, but I would definitely say that was my biggest risk, for sure. And I remind myself of that all the time. It's like, man, like I remember that. Like it was bad. Like it was really bad. Yeah, that was my biggest risk.
Man, like Jay said, a lot of them. I think for me, probably all of us, Atlanta, the move to Atlanta, we all moved at different times. But it was a big jump because Huntsville was comfortable. Even though the opportunities were over there, and this is back in 06, 07, like Atlanta was like really, you know, that was the hub of the music world. And we were literally going from a little pond to a big pond. I left because I had a business here. I had a commercial cleaning company. I had a condo that I was trying to buy. But it was just like, I gotta go, it's time. And I went and I lived in my aunt's basement for 2 years, you know, while all this stuff was going on. Because again, even though things was happening with Yelawolf and with Jay, and it was still progressing, like you said, there's a lot of weight, you know, so you're still grinding it out. You know, at that time, I'm writing for the artists and I'm doing the vocal production and stuff like that, so I'm driving 45 minutes to Stone Mountain every day, and I'm working till like 5, 6 in the morning, and coming home 6 in the morning. I sleep till like 11, and then I got like a part-time gig. I still have my business here, so I'm driving back to Huntsville, trying to make sure stuff is going right, people getting paid, etc. You know, that eventually fell apart. So one of the things that I risked really was the comfort, and like, you know, Jay walked away from that job. You know, we had decent lives here. You know what I'm saying? Like we could have stayed on the same path and just continued to like kind of hope everything went out all right. But sometimes you gotta shift it in the 5th gear and go for it. You know, and there's no guarantees that's gonna work out, and there's no guarantee it's gonna be a smooth ride. Matter of fact, I can guarantee it's probably gonna be a bumpy ride, because anything worth doing it's gonna take everything you got. So, that's what it was for me.
Yeah, I would say the same because I was in Huntsville. Like I had left A&M, and I had a girlfriend. She still was in school. So when she graduated, I told myself like, because people will always ask me like, "Man, dude, you're so dope. Why are you here?" And his one of my best friends and one of his artists, he was like, "Man, we gotta move to Atlanta," because he already had been signed to Jagged Edge, with singing and stuff. He was like, "Bro, you doper than all those dudes out there. We gotta move, bro." So we moved, me, him, and ATX, another guy that stayed here, a guy named Austin. We moved out there, and that's probably was the biggest risk. I was still young at the time, so it's been a long time. Like I just got to this point, like literally, last year. So
I can tell we went to Atlanta deep.
yeah,
Because basically what happened was I had a studio off Pulaski Pike, and it was in the basement of the crib. I got to a point.
Studio was being generous.
Yeah. It was, we were cutting records, but I just ended up just getting all the people that I thought was dope, like all the artists, like all the producers, songwriters, and I just let them come in and work for free because a lot of times people ain't got the money, and I had good jobs. I ain't need the money, you always need more money, but I wasn't tripping on the bread. I understood that hey, I don't want to limit who I let in here based on what they can afford, so I let them come in and just work. And then everybody you kind of see how things develop, see who's really serious, see who's not, and we ended up just getting down to a really dope crew. Like we had figured it out. We had kind of cracked the code. Our music was really, really good. I was going to Atlanta, meeting with Shakir, R.I.P., and a few other people, and they was like, "Yo, this stuff is ready." So we just went. We all went at one time, and just as a wave, and the whole city was talking about it. Like, "Yo, these cats from Alabama, these Bama boys, man. Like, records, And everybody just had situations, and that's what happened. Like, it's not just about Wolf. There's a lot of people that got on through their situation. A couple producers, songwriters, Dab. He's from Decatur. He wrote "All I Need Is You" for Lecrae. He's from Decatur. Yeah. He was part of our crew. Grammy nominated. Yeah, I'm trying to think who else came with us. But anyway, we all just risked it. It was just like, man, we had done all we could do. We had a hot little mixtape going from here to Montgomery. We was making money. I was like, man, it just maxed out. And it's like I'd already had a few deals out of Huntsville. I'm just like, man, I'm sick of this single stuff. Let's just go over here where the real industry is, see if we can compete with them. And but anyway, we all just took that risk. We were all stacked up on top of each other in Stone Mountain. Just everybody on the couch with the masters, cutting records. We all ate together and kicked it with each other, and it just made it happen out there, But it was a different time in Huntsville then. If it was like it was now, I probably wouldn't even left. It's just more going on right now. I feel like we didn't have a choice then.
So now, based on that, with that said, if you guys will pass to your right the index cards you have for your questions, we'll get those.
You were so good, I ain't even
Y'all enjoying yourself so far? Is this good?
We're rambling too much. It's a long story, man. I'm trying to condense it.
What year? What year?
04. So I left here I've been in Atlanta 7 years.
That's where I know you from. I think I was there with you.
I stayed in Grayson.
I did too.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, Rob and Rob, Fred,
Okay, I'm like, that dude looks so familiar.
Yeah, I stayed at the end. Remember Jared was my roommate, and what's the dude's name? Ivy. He was from
Okay, yeah.
So
I was like, this dude looks so familiar. I know this guy.
yeah, because everybody sound like the dude from Paid in Full.
So ATX was in y'all camp?
Yeah, ATX he was for a while. He just moved to Austin, Texas, a couple weeks ago. Yeah, he got a job out there or something.
Okay.
But yeah, we stayed together downtown, down the street from Jay. Stayed there in the nice yeah, that's my dude.
Okay, I met him at Slow Motion Camp back in the day. Yeah, when he was there.
Slow,
Yeah.
Okay.
Corey go way back.
That's what's good.
We played on the same basketball team several years.
All right, that's what's up.
So let's do it. Actually, let's do it like this. I'm gonna let everyone. So I'm gonna start here on the front to ask you a question. Everybody got it written down, so that way you already know what you're gonna ask. But we'll start here on the front. If you have a question for him.
I'm a songwriter, so I want to know how you get in. What do you do? Right to the point. How do we get
Do you sing?
I do.
Okay, that's even better. If you can sing your own records, yeah, do that.
How do you get in right hands? Right hands. Like how do you get in?
Right hand.
How you get in? Well, that's but that's. I'm gonna be honest with you. I'll let Jay answer too, but there's no barriers anymore. I mean, between SoundCloud or whatever, you can get your music heard. Like, I think the bigger thing is to make sure that you're writing dope songs. It's hard to keep a dope song now. Like, there's a lot of music out there. When your music can stand above and give people that special feeling, when artists are coming to you saying, I need you to write me a song, then you got, like, so I started writing songs when I was 15 years old. I've written thousands. I've probably written more than 2,000 songs in my life. By the time I met Jay and them, I just knew how to write a song. And I knew how to hear what artists needed for a particular thing. I could put it with the beat, whatever. So I'm proud of the fact that I wrote songs that got artist deals. But some of the best songs I've written, probably nobody will ever hear, just because I've kind of moved on in that part of my life. But the one thing I have learned is that if you know how to write a song, you know how to write great songs, you don't have to worry about who's going to find you, get them in the right hands, because the artists are going to find you, the right people are going to find them. You just have to know how to do that and to do it consistently, because that's the other part of it. Writing songs sounds cool as a job when you're doing it after work, or it's running through your head at lunchtime, or it sounds cool then. But when you gotta perform, when they're like, we got the studio, we usually come here with a record, right? We need a record for the soundtrack, and you gotta produce on that. And that pressure is different. You think you're ready for it, but there's a block that sometimes goes in your head, and a lot of people can't perform on that level.
I got a question though. What type of songwriting you do? Like, what type of songs? Everything. Okay. The everything answer.
Yeah.
Here's the thing. Like, you got to get real specific. You see what I'm saying? Like, what type of songs, what type of artists? Like, who do you aim for? Like, hey, I write songs that will probably fit Alicia Keys. Like, everybody has a strength. It's like going to a diner. Y'all don't make all that well. You see what I'm saying? You don't make a cheesesteak and a hamburger and, a vegetarian dish great. There's something that you do that you're really, really good at. And as a manager, that's what I get into. It's like, hey, I know you like writing these songs, but this is what you're good at. Let's take these songs, and then let's go and let me shop them for folks. Now, I know that's the part you really want to know, how you get them in the hands. My job is, because all my homies are A&Rs, we all just push play is what we call it. We're doing all of it man, listen what I got. It's crazy. And then they'll tell me hey, I got these artists I'm working on. They're in the pipeline. They're probably gonna come out in 3 months. It's like, okay, cool. What kind of songs you looking for? Like right now, Arlisa, she's on the soundtrack. She's on Def Jam. She got the We Won't Leave record. They looking for records they want her to be on some Whitney Houston kind of stuff. So I'm looking for songs for her. It's like, I know that. I'm on my A&R thing right now. It's like, so if you have those kind of songs, you can give me the song, and then I may go to Anthem and be like, hey, let's reproduce it. If you got a little demo track to it, let's reproduce it. Let's mix it. Let's present it. Let me fly back to New York. Let me present the record where all they got to do is just cut it. Does that make sense? That's a process. That's how it normally works. But it starts with what you're specifically good at. I know a bunch of songwriters. You know what I mean? Like my girl Trosa, she wrote Fireworks for what's her name? Katy Perry. Yeah. I know she's good at those kind of records. So when I go into a building or my homie's like, yo, we're working on these kind of songs with this kind of artist, and it sounds like some Katy Perry stuff, I'm calling Trosa. She works with Esther Dean. It's like, yo, call Esther, y'all come in here and write for this. It's very specific. Or it's just like, if I need something for Future, You know what I mean? I'm not gonna come to you for that. Even though you can write everything, it's just like, yo, he needs this kind of melody, he needs this kind of pace. You could do it, but it ain't necessarily your strength. You feel what I'm saying? But I would say find your strength, then find a producer that helps build on that strength, and then finish the record. Finish it. A lot of stuff I get is unfinished. You know what I'm saying? It's like, think of this as a presentation. I'm going ahead and meet, I walk past all day and I'm going straight to the VP. I'm going to the guy who's cutting the check. He's expecting it to be done.
Explain what means be finished.
Finished, like a record, like fully done record. Like there's no, well, if I had this or if this mic was like, nobody's time for that. You see what I'm saying? This is the big leagues. This is, we don't have time. We got a date. We got a budget. Is it done? You know what I'm saying? Like it's got to be done. It's all the ifs and could. It doesn't matter. It's nothing. Not trying to be mean, but it's just, you know how it is. If you come, like if you work in the corporate world or you work in anywhere else you work at, it's deadline. It's the same thing in the music business. People think it's different. They're on the same schedule. You know what I'm saying? We don't have time. So just make sure it's your best work. Spend that time. If you got that one song, like this is a hit, don't work on 20 other records. Finish that hit. You only need one. You know what I'm saying? Like I worked with Sean Garrett for a few years. Like this dude was like, he would write 20 songs, they'd be like, 19, they're cool. I'm gonna spend the next week on this song. This is the song. This is the one that's gonna get the bag. And when it's done, you ain't gotta say nothing. I don't have to say anything. Just push play. I can walk in another room, go get some popcorn. It's like, yeah, that's it. You know what I'm saying? Like that's it. I don't have to say that. I ain't selling. That's like one of my things. I'm not selling. By the time you see me, it's done. Like it's as best as I can make it. Now, if you pass on, it's cool. I can go to sleep at night. Like, you know what? It's cool. I know I put all my energy into that, and it plays to our strength.
Do you arrange too?
Do you record yourself? You cut your own records?
Yep.
That's one thing I was gonna say is being self proficient is like recording yourself.
Yeah.
If artists do learn how to record themselves like at a high level, that's half of the battle right there. The struggle, because you got to pay somebody to record and mix and stuff. But if you can get it to a certain point yourself, you know, you'll be able to work on your craft a lot more, because you will hear it and it sound good. You like, I ain't got to go back and do this to get it mixed. You hear it, it sound dope, it sound good. You can send it to J-Dot and you'll be confident, like, yeah.
And by the time I get it, it's like, yo, like I know exactly who needs it. But yo, let's change this. Let's change that. Let's remix the beat. Let's add this instrument to it. That way, we're putting our best foot forward when we're presenting it to an artist or to another
To
man.
you directly? Oh, you're just saying.
We're just saying in general.
Yes,
Yeah,
I was
we
like-
call it shop.
Get my call.
Now we'll say this though. That's one thing. That's one thing we did talk about beyond this. We want to start setting up some like workshops. So, right, I know you're already doing. I think pieces. I think I've seen something. Somebody.
Well, there are different.
I don't know. I'm not gonna tell everything, but just we want to set up some things where we can get some songwriters in the room and we can start like drilling down some of that stuff. That's we'll spend the next 6 hours talking about songwriters.
The
presentation's everything.
It is. That's honestly, that was the key to getting us out of here. Like it doesn't matter how much drive you have, whatever. But those records sounded so big.
Yeah, the records we had. Yeah.
I mean, some of those records sounded better than stuff that was on the radio at the time, and and that was just. I mean, that was MySpace era. Anybody remember MySpace?
Yeah.
So we worked with a couple artists. We put their stuff up on MySpace and would have deals with A&Rs in a couple of days because the records were so jammed.
We putting them right here in my basement.
Wow.
We put them up on our phone. We ring. Like, come to Atlanta. I don't know who this is, but yo, that's a big record. Because we put a lot of time into it.
And that was the other thing that Jay was. Because his background as a producer, and for the producers, like really, really understand how to make your stuff sound great. Because Jay, he wasn't producing the records, but he had the chain. Yeah, and he had the equipment sound like we maxed that stuff out. The mic,
A lot of
everything.
hours.
Yeah.
A lot of hours trying to sound like an SSL.
Yeah.
On your computer. You know what I'm saying? In the box, like I'm like wrecking my brain. Like, how do I get it to sound that big? But it was just all about the presentation. Just like I would go to Atlanta and go sit with Shakir or KP or these guys, or sit with Jagged and hear their records. I'm like, man, we got to sound at least at that level, or we can't even. They're not even gonna hear it. They don't care what we're working on. They don't want to hear the soft stuff. They don't care. Get it sounding this big, and then we'll take a meeting with you. and you just got to put the hours in. If it's really what you want.
Who else had a question? I know we have a lot of people writing down questions.
Sorry.
Mr. Fred in the back.
Yeah, I have one. Appreciate your advice and all. How do you find balance as an artist? I hear you say some real cool things like you prayed about it, your faith, blah, blah, blah. So how do you do that? Because you have different artists here that are like, I do Christian and clean, and you have some that don't, and you have some that are just conscious and whatever. So my question is, can you give us some advice from your perspective on how to find balance between the business side, get your money, music, and how you incorporate your faith or your inspiration so that you don't fall off while getting it or don't have it, trying to get it?
So I think at the end of the day, one, you have to be real clear on who you are, right? You got to know your gift, and you got to know the importance of your gift. You have to learn to revere what you bring to the table. And that doesn't mean that you worship yourself, but you got to understand that it's special. And so that means you don't want to pimp your gift out, right? And so when we talk about why people want to be famous or why they want to be artists or the lifestyle they think they want to have, when you have the wrong intentions in mind, when you want it for the wrong reasons, it's always going to lead you to the wrong path. And so I've worked with a lot of Christian artists too. You know, me and Anthem produced Sean Simmons' last couple of albums or whatever, and I know from working in that realm that even Christian artists wrestle with wanting to be famous, right? Even Christian artists have to wrestle with, I want to be heard, I want to be recognized, they still battle those same things. Some of them don't have the courage to go R&B or hip hop, like mainstream, because they're still conflicted with that. And that balance really has to be like, one of the things I respect about Lecrae is that Lecrae is like, he's unapologetically Christian and he's unapologetically hip hop. He's like, I know who I am. I know I'm gonna take heat from this. He built his entire movement with the Christian community, and now he's moving over here, and some of them ain't coming with him because they're like, yo, you over here. He's like, look, I'm a Christian as a person. My music is gonna reflect my beliefs, and that's okay. And you gotta be okay with that. You gotta be okay with taking that heat. Whoever you are, you gotta be 100% authentic, and not be afraid that you're not gonna get that shot or not gonna get that light because I'm not willing to do. I mean, if you're not willing to do that, then that's not who you are, and that's okay, because there's somebody else that's gonna do that, and you can do what you do, and you can have your lane, your space, and somebody else can do that. I think it really comes down to, you can't be afraid. Fear is,
fear. Yeah, bro.
It'll drive you in the wrong direction every time.
Fear is and I meant to say that earlier, and I'm going to say this real quick, because I think it'll answer a lot of questions in here. The main thing that it's like a huge issue with artists and just being in this is just fear. This fear of all of that's what's leading to a lot of drug use. That's what's leading to a lot of the issues we're having right now. It's just a lot of fear, and that's why it's important to just know who you are. Because the music industry gets a bad rap. It's like all the negative stuff is like just in the music industry. No, it's in the corporate world. It's in everything.
Right.
You know what I mean? It's just, we just look to that because it's an easy thing to point at.
Right.
You know what I mean? It's like knowing who you are and being comfortable with that. That's the key to all of it. So you don't lose yourself. Whether you have a lot of money or whether you're going through, certain, issues or whatever. As long as you don't lose yourself, as long as you don't start self-medicating and doing all these bad things or letting people take advantage of you, all that, like, just knowing who you are is the key. Very much the key. And I always look for that in people that I work with. I'm not looking for the quick buck. I'm not in this just for money. I want artists or people that I work with to really know who they are and be grounded and have good values. And, you're going to make mistakes, but at the end of the day, you're just trying to be a good person. And money is just a byproduct of you being dope at what you do. That's all. That's the longevity in it, for sure.
Excellent. Who else? Anybody else have a question?
I got a question actually. Like when you guys first started doing music and everything too, like of course you guys y'all like doing the art of it all and everything too, but did you have any other goals rather than like did you ever like have any dreams that you'd look and daydream for yourself and be like, man, if I had this kind of money, this is what I want to impact the world with? What did y'all have any of those, and if y'all did, what kind of things, stuff like that do y'all do?
Growth is important. I'll say this because it's all on my mind. I can give you a short answer. After 2012, I started like each year taking on different tasks, like outside of just producing and making music. It's like 2011 is all about touring. You know, learning international touring, like learning how to, you know, promote your music outside of the U.S., being a global brand. Right. Next year I learned about sync. Next year I learned about publishing. Next year I learned, you know, just taking a year and just diving fully into it. You know,
to kind of learn every aspect.
Learn every aspect, right? Yeah. So it's just like the ultimate goal is, it's like, okay, I'm finally ready to start my own record label and do it. Cause I hear a lot of people say, "Yo, I got my own record label." It's like, dude, it's so big business. You got to learn every single revenue stream, you know, and learn how to manage all of it, and then build a good staff and to actually say you're a full-on label, you know. So that's been my ultimate goal. Okay. And then also going into TV and film, which I just started doing this year. So that's
I got a question myself. I'm Holloway from Holloway's Ideas, my company. I've helped develop a lot of artists here in Huntsville. We've also started a group as well, artists who support each other with DJs, producers, and things like that too. We're going to be putting a record pool together, so I would love to get your contact information at the end so we can invite y'all out to that as well. Now, for the question.
Good plan. I'm with him.
So when y'all decided to mob out from here to Atlanta, what was the move though? You know what I'm saying? What did y'all say? Okay, when we get there, this is what we do. And what was that?
You know what? And that's why I hate telling that story because it leaves out a lot of. So before I actually moved, like a year before that, I had already been going. Like we had a producer that was in our camp that I ended up signing to Divine Stevens. And that was right. That was Upfront Entertainment. Right when Akon was still in his basement. You gotta remember, like that was before Locked Up and all of that. We were there. Like one of my producers that was already there, a dude named Selassie, he engineered that whole album. So we had that going, and then Shane Donovan, I only know this. Anthony Ransom. Yeah, Anthony Ransom, he was working with us. He's our home. You know, the twins from Jagged Edge, that's his first cousin. You know, and their grandparents, I don't know if they still live on Master.
I was in that group.
Or not. Yeah. So they were already there. So we had some songwriters writing over there, producers that were over there. Justin ended up signing to the Twins, so we had that going. So all these things were going on before we just said, "Yo, it's time to move." I really just got tired of taking off work. They were tripping. You know what I'm saying? I'm driving back and forth, just a lot of driving back and forth, and just like, and then when Wolf moved, it was like, okay, I have to, because he basically begged me like, "Jay, quit that job, bro. Like, just screw it. Like, just come up here." And that's when I prayed about it. It's like, you know what? It's time. You know, because I'm very careful. You know what I mean? I was comfortable. I had just bought a house. Like, I'm good. But just got to a place where I had to. Like, if I didn't, somebody would have took my blessing. Because I had built it, like, we had built it all. It's like, but everybody's looking at me like, "Jay, we need you here. We trust you. We don't trust these people." You know what I'm saying? Everybody's calling us, but we don't trust these folks. They ain't from where we from. People in Atlanta, they don't give a damn about people from out there. They don't care. You know, so they up there in these rooms like, "Yo, I don't feel comfortable." You know what I mean? "Jay, I don't want to talk to these people. You need to come. You need to come up here." So we all just had like, "Yo, I'm down. But Fred, my spiritual advisor, you know, we all gotta go." You know what I mean? Everybody gotta go. We all just moved into a crib up there and just, you know, I mean, went for it. You know, because I guess for me it was just like, you know what? Let me go up here and just try. This job ain't going nowhere. None of this stuff is going anywhere. If it don't work, I just come back. You know, it's just like, but I felt like we had put the time in. We had put a lot of the work in. The feedback I was getting from some very high, you know, executives there was like, "Yo, this is pretty good, Jay. You know, let's do something." And they kept their word. You know, and that's what happened. But it was a process. It was definitely a process. Yeah.
Excellent. Who else? I want to make sure we're not missing anybody.
Real quick, I guess my question is, I grew up in the church, singing in the choir, you know, and fast forward, went to school, got a music degree in voice at Oakwood University here in Huntsville. And, yeah, already. I guess my question is, how do I'm looking for the sound I got. The church I grew up in is real old soul, traditional Southern quartet style, and that followed me all the way up until today. And even now, I transitioned about a year ago, trying something new, wanted to do R&B. You know, write every track I record or whatnot, but that style still stays with me. So I guess my question is, in 2018, how do I find my placement with the style of music that I do? Because honestly, I still like Sir Charles, you know. I still, one of my favorite records, you know, one of my favorite records that I listen to on one of my movie soundtracks is Cadillac Records, I'd Rather Go Blind. You know, I still love those style songs, and I can't help what's in me. And I remember you always talking about not worrying about the trend and this and that, but
yeah, you know the Leon Bridges?
Yeah. I have, yeah.
Jacob Banks.
That's my homie, yeah.
Yeah.
Leon Bridges from Fort Worth, Texas. Like, you don't care.
Gotcha, okay. Well, you did?
There's an audience, bro.
Gotcha.
There's an audience. There's an audience for everything. There is for everything.
And
especially in the playlist era. All you hear is trap, but there's an audience, especially if you can perform.
No, I mean that's pretty much don't never be afraid of who
I'm
you
looking
are.
for that.
Yeah.
See, this is different. It's like here's the thing. It's like I'm going ahead and go on my so everybody has a niche in the business. Like I like I like this side. Everybody going that way, I want to go this way. You know, even if it's not something that I'm actually managing or involved in, I may just hand it off. Like yo, you know, and like people like Leon, people like that, like they stand out because they don't care about the rest of it. He's just special. Remember I said it's good, there's great, and there's special. If you're special, doesn't matter. Who cares what's on the radio? Nobody cares. Leon went gold. You wouldn't even know it. You know what I'm saying? Like most of his crowd, I'll be honest with you, it's all white. You know? And black people just not trying to get on. It's like he just found an audience who listened to him. He was in Fort Worth, just where he was, that's who gravitated to his stuff. Or Khalid. You know, there's a bunch of people out here. Like it's man, I could go on and on and on. Like they have a crowd. And then you gotta think, don't think states. States is local. United States, that's local, bro.
Right.
What you do, Europe,
Right.
there's a bag over there.
It is.
It's a bag, like big bag. Love it's a big bag, big bag, and they're gonna appreciate that. So don't worry about the playlist. Don't get caught up into that. That music has always been around. People's like, oh, this is done. It's always been there. It's always been there. It's just. Unfortunately, our guy, who's actually from Huntsville, Tuma, who did Rap Caviar, like, he's from Huntsville. Who created that?
Oh, yeah.
Did y'all know that? He's from Huntsville. Tuma Boss, like, he's the programmer for Spotify. He basically created Spotify.
Wow.
In a way. Because he revolutionized how they playlist. His family lives here right now.
That's ill.
But anyways, like, that doesn't dominate everything. So there's a lot of territories Spotify ain't even in. You know, over there, like, globally, music still sells physical. 6% of sales are physical, globally. Wolf still sells physical CDs. When they stopped in Best Buy, I almost cried. They stopped selling CDs because we sell a lot out of Best Buy.
Okay.
Anyway, the point I was trying to make is, like, there's an audience. And think bigger than just what you see on Spotify or that. Think global. And if you think about all those people, you just get a small piece of it. We sell a lot of records. Anyway, the Oakwood part.
No. There is that part, right? So I know some other people from Oakwood in here as well, and that's something that So it's Oakwood and it's Huntsville. Huntsville is unique. You got 4 colleges in one city this size. It's incredible. You got people from all over the world that come here. You actually, now you have the internet, but you got resources to be able to create something special. So even though you feel like, I'm in Alabama, this is whack, like I can't find the reason, it's here. But you continue to put yourself out there, let people know, become a beacon to attract other artists and other entities, producers. Anytime somebody produces, hey man, you produce beats? Send me something, I'll sing on it, whatever. Collaborate. Like it's just a song, right? It's people be too scared. I'm better than them. So look, a lot of people are at different stages or whatever, but sometimes a producer is looking for an artist to make them better. You can give them the ability to see things that they couldn't see and hear before. As an artist, you may bring something out of a particular artist as a producer that they never knew they could do. You got T.Y. was a regular singer until the producers were like, sing low, use your low voice. It made her icon. You know, it's not something people regularly do. So when I talk about learn to revere what you bring to the table, but you also have to discover what it is that's special about you. You know, Oakwood is a very unique place. It's crazy because I was just over there before I came here, and Daniel, some guy, I don't even know the guy's name, but one of my friends had a flyer on Facebook, so I went over there to check it out or whatever. And I'm over there, and we got some of the most phenomenal singers, and some of these guys don't even recognize what they have. You come here and you hear music that you're not gonna hear anywhere else. A&M, there's a lot of talents come through here. I mean, you was talking about Tuma, that has done something unique in the music base. I mean, in the business side, but you got producers like Kelvin Wooten, who's produced everybody. Anthony Hamilton, he just did Eric Clapton's new Christmas album. He does all kinds of stuff that's on an incredible level. You got Eric Griggs, who went to Oakwood, who produced one of the biggest songs in the world, Chris Brown and Jordan, what's his name? Jordan Sparks, yeah, No Air. That was the biggest song in the world. And I remember talking to him on the phone, he's like, dude, it's unbelievable. So, I mean, that deal that he got for that was bananas. And he was working with the Underdogs before then. You got one of the artists that I managed, Sean Simmons, who now sings with Naturally Seven, with another artist who went to Oakwood. Those guys, when we talked about touring in Europe, them dudes make over $1 million a year singing, and all their entire audience is white folk. They're trying to come over here and figure out how they can get more of an American following, but they spend 9-10 months of the year over there in Europe. So, I mean, look, it's the world, man. There's a place for you in the world. You just can't be afraid to find your place.
There's a lot of artists you've never heard of that have a very good career.
Anthem knows them all, though.
Bro, I know all of them. I said,
straight up. He puts me up on stuff all the time. Like,
when he said that, I said Jacob Banks.
Yeah, I know about Jacob Banks.
Yeah. Jacob Banks is killing it. Like, y'all know who Jacob Banks is? No.
Exactly. Yeah.
Some of y'all do. Big bags.
When we say bad, but it's basically you have a career. You can absolutely have a career. Don't get caught up in all that. That's the main thing. Don't worry about that. Just find an audience.
And I know that's something that may be somebody else's question too. But can you have I mean, that's I know Jake talk about this especially. You can have a career doing music. I'll take the perfect example is Dave Chappelle. He tells a story about how. He was like 19 years old. He had been doing comedy for a little while in clubs and stuff like that. And so he's in college, and he's like, I don't want to go to college anymore. He's going to tell his parents. His parents are like, are you crazy? Like, you should go to college. He's like, Dad, well, look, you're a teacher. You make about 40 grand a year. I figure if I make 40 grand a year being a comedian, I'll be successful. His dad's like, you got a point. So he let him go. So what did Dave Chappelle do last year? He sold 2 comedy specials for $60 million. I think it was a good decision. But it just goes to prove if you bet on yourself and you know you got to know what you can do. But just like you're talking about, is there a lane for your type of music? I mean, I'm pretty sure Leon Bridges, if he didn't do $1 million or better, heck, Yelawolf. I used to tell people about Yelawolf and especially black people like, Yelawolf. The Yelawolf tours, he was touring 250 times a year.
Yeah, he's doing 250, 300 shows a year. Globally, though.
Globally.
Like, he's a festival artist now.
Wow.
Most, like in Australia, we do 2 tours just in Australia. It's all on the continent, bro. That's a whole run. Then just there's a lot of artists like that. And I think that's the thing where it's like you see all the hype and being hot. You know what I mean? There's a lot of other people just making a career doing music. Nashville is a good example of it, too. Country artists and singers, you see these big old houses. Never heard of them.
Right.
But they had a career. Like, they found an audience.
Right. They had a black dude who's a country singer now. He won
I
an American Music
He was
Award.
on Billboard magazine the other day.
I was like, he looks like a hip hop artist.
Yeah.
He got a part and everything. Well, Kane Brown kind of opened it up. So it's like, sure some of y'all know who that is. Yeah.
Can I say something on the producer end with it though? Like, yeah, man. Like, so I'm gonna okay. I got into sound design because this guy I grew up with when I was a kid. Like, I played drums in church because he was a Christian rapper. He's from Birmingham. Anybody knows this guy named Snipe Young? Yeah, that's my guy. I grew up with him. You know what I'm saying? So he got he won Grammys. I got into sound design because of him, because he was telling me how much money he was making from like Native Instruments and Akai, and I was like, bro, you make more money for one pack than I do at my job a year. So I need to do that. You know what I'm saying? So that's why I dug into it, and now I'm like, hey, I make more money than I make now than I do at my job per year from doing sound design. So it's like he did sound design for Dre and all these guys. People don't know that side of the music business is in the music biz. You know what I'm saying? Like, you don't have to be Metro Boomin. Metro Boomin is gonna hit me up like, man, I need a pack, send it to me. You know what I'm saying? So it's like everybody want to be famous. You know what I'm saying? But do you really want to do music for a living? You got to define that. You know what I'm saying? So that's the big thing. I tell people, like, find out what you really want to do. You don't have to be famous. There's plenty of non-famous people out here, crazy bad, that do music.
There's a lot of ways to make money in entertainment.
Yeah.
I have a friend who, one of my ex-bandmates, he lives in Miami, Florida, and all he does is music. He just produces songs for other people. People who have songs want to write them, and they'll hit him up. I remember I had sent him an idea one time. He couldn't even get to it. He had like 19 songs he had to produce and write for other people. So, you know, you're talking $250, $300, $400, $500 a song, whatever. He's eating. He supports his family just doing music. You probably never hear any of these songs. Because, you know, they may be bad, whatever.
But at some point, one will hit.
Or one will, right. But he's paying bags. But he's able to eat, right? And he's able to continue to get better at what he does. So when his time comes for him to shine, it's gonna happen.
It's the music industry, especially now. It's a lot of money. It's back. It's like the 90s. So between sync, like you said, sound design, playlisting, all of these revenue streams, there's a content. You know, with all this stuff on Netflix, those are big bags.
Big bags.
Hello, like it's streams. You get paid every time, or they'll just buy it out, and the buyouts are pretty nice. So it's just being great, special. If you got something special, it'll stand out, and people give you a shot. So just stick with it.
Absolutely. We had a question back here.
I guess I know you were talking about earlier finding like the one thing that you're good at. But would you say for somebody like me, I produce myself, record myself, write myself, and like I guess perform myself? Would you say that it would be better for me to continue defining my own sound that way, or find someone else to help me define my own sound?
Well, without hearing it, it's kind of hard to say.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like that's probably the next phase of this. It's like getting one-on-one. You know, because a lot of times there's a lot of great artists, but they never get that coaching. You know what I'm saying? Like that was one thing that we were blessed to get when we got to Atlanta. We learned more, you know, from being around. Like I've been blessed to have some of the best mentors ever. You know, so what I share with you, like if I give you an opinion about your music, it's coming from all this other information that I've gotten from Shakir, from KP, from LA, from Jimmy Iovine, from Paul Rosenberg. Like it's that information. That's what we all are lacking. That's what we lacked in Huntsville. Going back to why we left, it's like, okay, we've pushed it as far as we can. We're still not. There's something else we need to know. We got to get over here with these people who've already sold 100 million records and see what they know, work on what they work on. You know, to find that. So getting that one-on-one, you know, information or like, what's the thing that Willpower does? It's like a bunch of like online stuff now. Where you can just submit music, get feedback. Get feedback from people who are experienced, though. There's a lot of hustles out here. I hate that. That's why I'll never do this and charge people for it because it's ridiculous to me. But send your stuff off.
Yourself, Jay.
I do Willpower like that. He always try to give me on the free game. Willpower, I don't give out free game. But anyway, I'm doing this because of the hometown. But what I'm saying is like send your stuff off, but get feedback from experienced people. You know what I mean? Like not people who got a few places, like people who have actually been doing this for at least 10, 15 years, who have a strong career. They'll help you make that decision. Like, you know what, man? Like, I hear what you're doing, but that right there, that's it. If you can build on that, we could do something. And it may be your songwriting, it may be your melodies, it may be your producing, it may be your arranging, it may be, there's so many different things that go into a song, you know, into the music business. There may be a role or something you can play in their situation, you know, that you can get paid off of and be able to have a career in.
But the value of doing all those things yourself is that you understand all the elements that it takes to make a record.
Yeah.
Right.
And that stuff is important because, like, when I learned how to record the artists that I was writing the songs for, like I'm not a singer. I mean, I sing in the group, but I sing background. You know, I'm not. So I wasn't. But even to the point where I started referencing the records, I started understanding. Okay, I'm writing all these words. This is really hard to sing. It's a lot easier to sing 4 words than it is to sing 14, right? So you start understanding, constructing, and putting songs together, and what's really important, what's the necessary elements. Even your laziness becomes an asset because you're like, I don't feel like doing. What could be a shortcut I can figure this out? You know, research and learn how to do things faster. When you start realizing, if I'm a songwriter or if I'm an artist, it makes more sense to have somebody else record me because it's too hard to just unless I'm sitting here by the mic. But if I'm sitting here by the mic, am I getting the best quality? Because I'm sitting down. It's always other things start happening when you start working through that process, right? So, like. When Anthem started mixing and engineering, you know, he'll start telling you that his music got better and better because he started thinking about other elements. Like, do I need to put all these sounds in this to make it sound big? If I know I can use a particular sound that fills up this space or leaves more space for the artist to do what they do now, you know. So those all of that stuff is important. So don't worry about what can I get rid of or what am I the best at. Figure out how to understand the process as a whole, and then. Like Jay was saying, we start getting feedback from people who are like, yo, your rapping is cool, but we like your songs. Or your songs are cool, but we really love your voice. You know, then that's going to stand out as you continue to do more. But just keep working. Just keep doing it. The more you do it, the better you're going to get at it. You're going to continue to grow. And
I was going to say, and just keep in mind that one thing that I'm talking about, it doesn't mean you have to stop growing in those other areas. It just gets you paid to give you time to grow in those other areas. Does that make sense? Yeah. It's just like, you got that one thing people want, give it to them. That way you're able to sustain yourself and make some money while you're still growing in these other areas. It's not about limiting. I'm not saying like, oh, this is all you're good at. It's just, this is what I need right now. Does that make sense? So I'll pay you for that, and then you can give you time to like grow. Or I'll give you that attention and give you that mentorship. Be like, yo, this is really, really good. Let's start developing these other sides.
Kanye is a good example of that.
Great example of it, yeah.
Because Kanye started out and nobody wanted him to rap. Right? And he was just a producer. But he believed in himself as a rapper, and working with other great rappers made him a better rapper. And at some point, he was like, I'm just going to rap, and you guys will write the raps for me, and I'll get other these great producers. And so he became better as a manager of producers, managers of the whole process. He could have a vision in his head about that, right? And that turns into now him being able to do fashion and things of that nature, because he can continue to grow. And that really is about what his brand is about, being limitless, you know. Gets him in trouble, that's how he thinks. Because most of us are taught that we have to do one particular job or do one particular thing. We can't evolve. But we're in a world now where evolution is necessary. You're not going to have the same job for 50 years. You're not going to work at the same factory, you know what I'm saying? If you want to be an artist, you can't have the same sound and style that you had when you first came out. You've got to evolve. But you got to know yourself. So yourself has got to be evident and all that stuff. So that, you know.
And then, hold on, let's, got one,
Oh, okay, yeah.
It was me.
well, we want to switch it up a little bit. I'm gonna have to go.
Boy, I go ahead. Hey, how y'all doing? So I want to know basically. I went on my first tour earlier this year. I want to know how to stay busy and consistent doing that. Because it's been a gap. Like, we came back in May. I'm going back in January. But it's like, and I do local stuff here. I'm in bands and stuff. But I want to know basically how, if other artists need background singers for touring, basically just how to stay consistent in the game without having such big gaps. Yeah.
So, yeah. No,
I was saying the age you live in now, just having a lot of content. You know what I'm saying?
Well, I guess specifically, are you talking about background singing and touring? Or
Yes.
Oh,
Yes.
I guess, yeah.
I think it was actually a good idea. You want to be known. I have a couple of friends who have been background singers for 20, 30 years. I mean, I got a friend who's been Mary J. Blige's background singer forever.
And see, that's the thing, because a lot of artists, they keep
the
same ones, and then like the artists that you're with, if they're not consistent, it's like,
so
how
one
do I get in?
of the other things is relationships, right? So when you're on tour, you know, making sure that you're in relationships with a lot of other people, other singers, other MDs, managers. Like there's nobody. One thing you find in the music industry that is nobody who's unimportant. Everybody has a role to play, you know. And so somebody may remember you. They may be in a conversation like, "Oh, I need another thing. Oh, no, you're my homegirl." You know, she's saying a lot of that stuff is referral.
Right.
You know, but just being available, people being aware, because also understand, like if you can have those conversations with and understand what makes a good background singer, because there are a lot of people that can sing, and a lot of people sing background, but they don't understand how to be a background singer. It's a professional job, right? One thing about Oakwood singers is that we understand the blend, harmony, right? I don't even know if you're from Oakwood or not.
I ain't
A&M.
But I was in music. I was a music major at A&M.
Okay. So you no disrespect, but you do, but good. So because you trained in music, you understand that aspect of it. You know how to take care of your voice.
Right.
You know how to be a professional. You know how to produce that sound, and that's important, right? So every aspect of work, it doesn't matter what you're doing in here. If you're a manager, if you're an engineer, if you're a background singer, if you're a lead singer, you gotta understand your craft. There's an art to doing what you do. To being able to make that person sound better, to be able to mirror or imitate. Understand what you do best, right? There are some singers who can mimic the lead vocalist so they can give them background support so they don't have to wear their voice out when they're doing 200 dates a night, right? Understand what your strengths are and what you can do, and continue to build relationships. Some of that stuff does take time, but there's never, I can't think of a shortage of background singers being necessary. I mean, especially now as you get more and more artists that are going out and touring and doing stuff, even rappers need background singers. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I would say like definitely content. I agree with him. Send that content to like newer artists. Like I was mentioning Arlisa, like artists that you see that just dropped a single, go hit their management up, because they're already going to be looking. And
how do you do that without being thirsty though?
be thirsty.
But being thirsty without seeming desperate, if that makes sense. Because like I'm talking to y'all, I have no issue with talking to people, but sometimes I don't want to come out like, give me a job.
The only other way is to get representation. Yeah. Like find someone who can speak on your behalf, and just have them be aggressive. You know, a lot of times I get a million emails a day. You know what I'm saying? So a lot of times I just need to see it a few times. You know. But I would just say, as far as getting on and getting opportunities, start with the newer artists. Like he was saying, the older, they already got people. You know what I mean? It's kind of hard to get in that spot, you know. But with the newer artists, you can grow with them. So catch them early. I would definitely say that. And then with the content, send them the content. Show them that, yo, I got the look, you know, you know what I'm saying? Like, I understand what my role is in this, and I'm dedicated to doing this. I want to do this for a long time. And as a manager, I'm looking for people. I don't like a lot of turnover. You know what I mean? Like, once I get somebody, like, yo, let's just stick with this. Because touring is a huge part of breaking the artist, especially now because there's so much music out there. The way you stand out, especially in R&B or doing, you know, that kind of music is you got to go city to city, and you got to win. Like, you got to blow people away. So your show and how you present that music is very important. You know, I want a full band. I want background singers. I want all of that. So, and I want to do that early. You know, I want to get those people early. I want to keep them locked in, you know, as long as possible. So I would say start with new artists. That would be the best target.
Be easy to work with.
That too. Vibe is everything. Like, yeah, like for real. You know, 'cause some background singers I've been around there, they already trying to like shoot me the demo on the side. Like, yo, I'm an artist for real. It's like, I'm trying to break this artist. You already talking about
It's inspiring to be an artist, but when I'm doing it, I know my role. I'm not talking about me right
Gotcha.
now. Like if I'm asked, I will, but
once
I
you
know
build
what
that,
I'm here for.
but once you build that relationship, most people are paying attention. Like, do you sing? And they'll just ask you, like, and then just because you being cool is like, yo, let me create some opportunities for you. You know, for sure.
Thank you.
Absolutely. We've had singers, songwriters, and artists. We're going to take one more question from the DJ, and then we're going to try to go ahead and wrap it up because I want to make sure that we respect everyone's time. So, DJ, you have one question.
Yeah, I was just wondering about, like, far as paperwork, trying to do your music. How do you get that paperwork done? So, like, for your beats and stuff like that, make sure that it's locked down and registered so you get paid for those tracks. So when they stream the beat, you
know, it's monitored on YouTube or
When it's monetized?
streaming sites, stuff like that.
Mhm.
So basically, you know, even though you got your ASCAP and stuff done, you still got to get the, I guess,
Great question.
registration.
Great question. The situation right now, a producer from here did something for NBA Youngboy. And he hit me up late in the game, and they got him on a work for hire.
Is it Atlantic?
Of course.
Oh man.
You already know that. And I mean, all the labels are doing it. But as far as the paperwork, the first thing you want to do is get a split sheet. Does everybody know what a split sheet is? So a split sheet on the publishing side is basically a song is breaking down by percentage. Typically on a hip hop record, it's usually just the rapper and the producer, so it's 50-50. You want that in writing. You want to get just a simple split sheet. You can go on Google and just type it in and just download one. That's probably something we'll go over in one of the workshops we do or something. So that's huge, bro. So get a split sheet. A split sheet that'll be directly with the manager or with the artist, so everybody has an understanding of what the percentages, like how they break down. And then from there, you want to make sure once you get that split sheet that you register it, obviously with ASCAP, BMI, CSAC, or whatever. But the other thing you want to get in regards to getting paid from like monetization is get set up with Sound Exchange. Does everybody know what Sound Exchange is? Sound Exchange is super important. That's where you get your royalties. But they're only going to go by the split sheet. Or a long form agreement. A long form will have the splits and the full contract for the song. If you were a major, they call a long form agreement. That's like the main contract. So I guess I should break it down. Like if it's independent, get a split sheet. Sound Exchange should be good. If you're dealing with a major, you want the long form with the Sound Exchange addendum attached to it. That's how you're going to get paid. And you got to make sure that's filled out. You know what I'm saying? Like that's super important. If not, then yeah, you're going to be missing some royalties, or you're going to have to fight to get it at that point.
Hands and stuff like
Yeah, you're going to have to pull up.
I say most of these artists aren't really like making like crazy money like that anyway. You know what I'm saying? Like everything J-Dot said, do that. Like if you know it's gonna pop, do that. But realistically, like who's making like crazy bread? Like
You know what's crazy? Like right now, it's ridiculous. It's the streaming money is out of control right now. It's so out of control. For me, I've been preaching this for a while. It just feels like a bubble. I just don't understand how this many subscribers can pay this amount of royalties. You know what I mean? Like it's just not adding up. But at the end of the day, those are the long form, split sheet, sign up for Sound Exchange. Those are like three of the most important things you need to do in regards to streaming and getting paid from digital.
Can you name those three things one more time? Can you name those three things one more time?
Get a split sheet directly with the artist. Like basically, as soon as they cut the song, like even an email that just says, "Hey, what's the splits?" Like I have a thing with everybody I talk to, just splits. You know what I'm saying? Like let's figure out how the record splits. Let's figure out how the record's going to be broken down, and then from there, if it's going to go up on a streaming service, most managers will hit you up like, "Yo, we about to put this record out. We have the splits. What is your fee?" Send you 500 or 1,000 or whatever it is you're charging, and then from there, the money's collected through Sound Exchange based on that split sheet. So basically, every dollar comes in. If you own 50% of the song, you need 50 cents on it. Yeah. And that's on the publishing side of it. On the master side, that's royalties. That's calculated differently. So, yeah. But a long form will have both. That's what the long form agreement. That was the third thing. The long form will give you a breakdown of the points on the record, which is the master, the royalties, and then you write it down. It gets complicated.
I got Sound Exchange, split sheet, long
Sound Exchange, long form, and basically kind of in that order. Sometimes they'll all be in one. I like to do it all at once, but some people it may, like if you do a song with somebody in May, and they don't put the song out until February, you may not get the long form till, it may be months before you actually get the long form once it's placed. Yeah.
they have some music app companies that do kind of that too. STEM, you ever heard STEM?
Yes, yeah.
I have some artists that I work with. Any artists that use STEM IL, go on there.
He's up on all the digital stuff. I'm still on paper and pen.
You know what I'm saying? You see multiple.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? But use them as well, because they can't put the song out because they put the songs out for you, like on all the streaming sites. So the person has to agree to the splits in the email before they even post it. So if you're an artist or a producer, you work with somebody, you can just go on STEM and it's like, yo, we're gonna get them to distribute, just put the song out. So they have to agree to the split. So
and I was gonna say to answer, to add on to that, it's gotten to a point now you have a lot of protection now with the streaming, because what happens is if I use your track and I just put it up and you didn't know about it, and you send a letter to Apple Music or whatever and you file an injunction on the song, like if I get dinged 3 times, they suspend my account. So it's in my best interest to make sure all the paperwork's handled, and that's on the independent level. You know what I mean? Like, because I have independent distribution as well. So when I put out records, I treat it as if it's a major album. I treat it the same way I treat my major, releases, because it's just like I don't need those dings. I need to make sure everybody good, and it's just good business. I'm not in this to take anything from anybody. I want to make sure you understand what a split sheet is, and most people are on that right now because it's just too many lawsuits going on. It's just a mess. Everybody's being forced to make sure everybody's protected because TuneCore and all the way to the streaming service, Spotify, they don't want to get sued over music up there. They ain't got time. They just gonna pull it down till y'all figure it out and then they put it back up.
You got time for one more? Just one more quick one.
I'm good. So we here. I wanted to answer my question.
All right. So this one for me personally, first I'll shout out to everybody from OU. You know what I'm saying? I went there back in the day. So when I went, I had to move like you to Atlanta from here, and I left my job and everything. Had a job out there, made a big sacrifice. And, I ran into a lot of good things, but a lot of scam artists out there, too. You know what I'm saying? So when you went there, it's like, how did y'all know, like, the people that y'all was talking to were legit? Like, you know what I'm saying? It wasn't, like, some scam artist. Because I had I had Pretty Ricky manager, managing me at one point. And I ain't never had no manager, but I was like, everybody around me was getting on, and I was like, shoot, maybe this is my sign. Maybe my time, you know what I'm saying? Maybe this is what it's supposed to be. And, took my money and was gone. You feel me? So yeah, I have paperwork still on me too. I could have sued him. It was like $500, so I was like, I just charged it to the game, But like at the same time, there's a lot of people saying, "Oh, I'm with Def Jam. They gonna be here. They can put you on this and that." Especially in Atlanta, it's a lot of it everywhere you go. Every open mic that you do, you know what I'm saying? So how did y'all know for a fact that what y'all was doing was legit?
I think that was a time period I was talking about. We were going back and forth. I had this thing where it's just like, before we left, we had already had single deals, so we had done deals and stuff from here. Like, so you kind of learn, like, okay, these dudes are just middlemen. There's a lot of people on this lower level that just do a bunch of that stuff. Once you get to the 27 floors, what I call it, like, that's where all the good people are. Like, they just straight up and down. So I really focused on, like, I had targets. Like, I need to get at him. Like, when I first went to Atlanta, like, I need to get to Shakir. He's vice president A&R at Def Jam. Like, he runs it. I need to talk to him. If I'm not talking to him, I'm not talking to anybody. If I just gotta wait and all, sometimes I just go up there and just wait. LA just walking past, I'm just sitting there in the lobby. Like, I'm not playing this for nobody. I'm not playing it for your assistant. I'm not playing it for you. I'm playing it for you. I'll be waiting right here for you. Same thing with KP. Like, when I was shopping Wolf, everybody hit me up. Like, I don't know you. That dude, he runs the budget. I want to talk to him. That's what I need to talk to. I want to skip past all those people. And it's hard to do. I'm not gonna sit there and act like I can just tell you like there's some specific way to do it. I just know I had very specific targets, and I would literally present it. I would put the package together specifically designed for that person. Like, I would learn everything about them. I would know where they at, how they move, and go after that.
You did your research pretty much.
Yeah, you got to do your research, and don't take every meeting. Like, be real. I'm about to use a bad word, but don't go out there and just meet with everybody either. Don't spread your brand all over the place playing music for a bunch of folks. Like, be very specific about who you want to talk to, and go talk to those folks. And that's one reason why we're doing this. That's a great question. It's like, when I was here, I didn't want to be the dude that left and never came back. You know what I'm saying? Because I know how hard it was to just go to Atlanta and try to figure it out. And I'm like, I'm here now to save you that stress. I can tell you straight up. All my homies are, VPs are higher at every major record company. So it was like, we want to be a resource. If there's somebody reaching out to you like, yo, is this real? Just like your homies in Birmingham. It's like, yo, like Kid in the Corner reached out. Is this legit? Let me make a few calls. Let me hit my guy Interscope. Let me see what's going on. Let me see what's happening. I want to be that person, you know, for Huntsville, or be one of the people that can help you navigate through that, you know, because we didn't have that before. We were just out here figuring it out, you know. We were blessed, I was blessed to be able to put our whole team in a position to get to the right people, you know, and it just happened. Like, we hit very specific showcases, we went to very specific offices and talking to certain people. And like, I'm only going to deal with these people, and just being very disciplined about not just taking every other meeting and listening to everything people say. Is like, I'm only going to talk to them, and if they're not interested, then I'm going to keep working to make sure they're interested, because they can actually make something happen, and not just shoot me, you know, shoot the ish.
One way you can find these people is by just reading like music business blogs and like Billboard magazine. They got a business section. You can go there and see who the new VP of whatever label, this, that, and the third. Like, you will find out who all these people are. Just follow them on Instagram. You know what I'm saying? That's what I do. Like, you know, I like find out who they are. Like, okay, that's who this person. Okay, I see this person. So that way, you know specifically who the VP is, the VP of A&R. You know what I'm saying? And who's running the budget and stuff like that. Just piggybacking off Jay. Because I learned stuff from him. He don't know I be learning about it.
One thing that I used to do too was we knew back when they had CDs and tapes, we used to read the liner notes. I knew who engineered the record. I knew who wrote the record, produced it. I knew who was sampling it. I knew who the VP A&R was. Like, I knew these people. I watched their careers go, you know, from being a simple A&R to the VP A&R to the president of the label to so and so. Like, you can track those things. So you can see it's a lot harder now to me to hide. You know, when we moved, you know, the internet was still, I mean, you had MySpace, so everybody looked like they were popping on MySpace. But, and you had those scams. You have guys out there running showcases, you know, dudes making 10, 15 grand a week just doing showcases. You know, here we're going to have this Def Jam A&R, and the A&R wouldn't show up, or they just put somebody's name on the thing. And
You don't know what they look
There's
like.
a lot of that stuff.
yeah, you know, and there's, you know, there's A&R interns, there's people, you know, just whatever. People at Def Jam, they would just pimping. I'm sorry, Def Jam. I'm not.
Yeah. Come on now. It's a new regime now. New regime.
I'm saying Def Jam, but I'm using it as an example to say that people would just take a name.
It's a lot of scams.
And run with that. They would just monetize it. They figure out this is the hustle. And a lot of people were doing that because, especially at that time, between 2000 and 2007, 2008, you know, it was really, really bad out there. People couldn't figure out how to make money no more, you know, because people weren't buying. Anyway, the biggest point, right, the biggest point is that whatever you do in the music industry, learn as much about the business as you can.
Yeah.
It's not like a regular job where you work at Walmart. I work in the pharmacy department. I just know about the pharmacy department. You know, well, I just know about toys. Know about how the business runs, how you get paid. Like the stuff that Jay is talking about is complicated, but at the same time, that's how you gonna feed your family. That's the stuff that drives people crazy. Like I've been on tour for a year and a half, and I come home and I ain't got no money in the bank. And my wife talking about, you know, the kids ain't got no diapers, and you know, why you ain't, you know, she leaving me. All that stuff, dude, it's real. Just, you know, maybe you figured out your purpose and you're not doing it for the money, but if you gonna work, you want to get paid for it. You know, this is how you do it. Building a team, having somebody that you know, can do that for you. I have a lot of respect for LeBron because he recognized I need people I can trust. So I'm just gonna educate my friends who had the aptitude to do it, and then they're gonna be the ones that out here making these deals for me, and we're gonna build something together. You know, find a friend that's smart. You know, somebody who's a manager at Chick-fil-A or whatever, but he's your boy. Somebody you know you trust, you got integrity.